Hello, everyone. Welcome to NJAI Solution Podcast, where we turn AI into real business results. I am your host, Nikunj Thakur, founder of NJAI Solution. Really excited for today's conversation. I am joined by Peter, president of Precision Computer Methods, that's been helping business streamline everything from accounting and ERP to IT support, security, and automation for over 40 years. Peter, it's great to have you on the show today.
Yeah, nice to be here.
So let's dive in. Peter, you have been running PC Methods since 1979. What's the most amazing part of your journey? Looking back, what made you start the company and what kept you motivated over the years?
Yeah, the thing that made me start the company was I wanted to have something that I would leave behind, build some kind of legacy or some kind of structure that would have a lasting possibility. So it seemed to me starting a business was one way to do that.
Your site highlights ERP solution like Sage Pro, Sage 300 Cloud, and F9. From your experience, what's one thing where founders need help the most?
I think they need help identifying their requirements. I think that's actually the thing that they need help the most. They often don't know what they need. So they know that they need the stuff that everybody else needs, but maybe they need something a little bit unique too.
So how do you help them decide what they need?
Yeah, just pretty traditional methods of asking questions, listening, looking around, talking to people in the staff other than management, certainly management as well.
So you try to understand pain points of the staff and then try to give a solution.
Yeah, I try to get that and then, bring my experience to the table too. So sometimes the staff doesn't have, experience with the other options available.
In your ERP blogs, you have written about budget automation for Sage 300, which highlights how it is faster than spreadsheet method. Can you elaborate on what other areas founders should automate and how your Sage 300 help businesses?
Yeah, so budget automation is one way. The days of maintaining budgets separate from your accounting system are long gone. And virtually all the computerized accounting systems I know of have the ability to load a budget for the year and then compare your figures for the year, the numbers for the year against that budget, and then run some reports against the budget. That's
Sorry.
pretty possible. That's pretty easy to do. And if you have that information in a spreadsheet, it's typically possible to just load that from the spreadsheet directly into the program. If you have last year's numbers, it's typically possible to run some kind of utility that'll pick up last year's number and use them as a baseline for this year's budget.
So if we keep budget aside, what other area do you think founders need automation, but they often don't use there?
Well, one thing, not too many people, especially in manufacturing, and we focus on manufacturing quite a bit. It's still true that a lot of manufacturers don't have a really good handle on what it costs to produce their widgets. I mean, they don't really know what the costs are. They might know the cost of the raw materials, but not the cost of labor, or the cost of raw materials might vary so much they don't know what the average is. Things like tariffs and freight costs enter in and can change and drastically affect the overall cost of the finished good. So those costs are pretty unknown. That's something that a lot of manufacturers realize that they don't know, and they'd like to get a handle on it. And we've helped a lot of manufacturers do that, get an idea what things cost and try to identify the big inputs to their costs. Another thing that we've helped companies with is identifying which product lines and which part numbers are the most profitable, because you might have a very high volume part number, but you're only making a tiny amount of profit on it, and it may not actually be cost effective to continue producing that. Or if you do, at least you have to raise the price. We've helped a lot of companies get at those profitability figures sometimes customers fall into a range of profitability, with some customers being very profitable and other customers not being profitable at all, or even losing you money. And then, rather than taking on every possible customer, it's usually a good idea to make a decision of which customers you continue to serve and which customers you try to gently nudge out, or at least raise the prices on, so you're not losing money.
So basically, you help brands to strategize how to cut cost and increase their profit share, right?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a big part of what we do. Along automation lines, we've helped several companies with barcoding, typically like barcoding in the warehouse, so that as a product goes out the door, then they get accurate counts updated inside the warehouse in real time. And that's really the only cost-effective way to keep high accuracy inventory in your warehouse, is to have some sort of barcoding system. If you do it purely with manual labor, that's going to be very costly and also error prone. So if you want to get rid of the errors, you have to spend even more man hours.
So when we talk about automation, it often gets linked with AI. So are you seeing founders open to experiment with AI-driven solution, or are they still cautious?
Not yet. I mean, in the manufacturers that I work with tend to be a little bit slower to adopt. So they're using AI to help them with correspondence like emails and spelling and composition, but not so much in the day-to-day operations.
So you have been in business since the 80s. So how has automation evolved since then?
Well, something that Intel identified, that the cost of memory is going to basically continue to go down exponentially, and I've noticed that. So memory prices, hard drive prices, CPU power prices have all gone down very dramatically. Back when I really started in business, a 500 gigabyte hard drive was something the size of basically almost like a washing machine. It was large and very heavy, maybe 150 pounds. And now you can get many times that in a little tiny fingernail sized sliver. So those changes are important and dramatic. And meanwhile, the cost of producing software has also decreased a little bit because of the hardware costs going down, and also better techniques, better understanding of how to put together complicated software. But it hasn't gone down nearly as fast.
What's one thing that you're really excited to build or launch in the next 6 to 12 months? And what are the challenges that are holding you back right now?
I'm really excited to do an implementation for a customer, and it's not that advanced or new, but it is something that's exciting to me. We're going to take a customer, and instead of giving them a physical server, we're going to set up their corporate shared file storage in the cloud. And we're going to use Microsoft Teams to do that. So it'll look like they have a corporate server with shared drives, but actually they'll have Teams channels. So the security will be a lot better, and it'll be a lot more flexible. Their staff, it's a startup, so their staff can access it from anywhere in the world, and also securely. That's pretty exciting to me, because it's clear that could be, if I can do that in a effective, cost efficient manner quickly, that's something I can do for a lot of people.
So the system that you just mentioned, would it work like a CRM system for the company?
They could Teams and Outlook have a rudimentary CRM, but it wouldn't be enough to do CRM all by itself. So one thing that we haven't really addressed with this company is large infrastructure type systems like ERP or CRM, cloud servers. We're just talking about the vanilla Office type stuff, Excel, Word, PowerPoint, Teams. So far that hasn't come into it. And I think if we did add something that needed a SQL Server backend, like some CRM, Sage 300, let's say, or even QuickBooks Enterprise, we would need to add probably an Azure. We'll probably need an actual Azure file server rather than just Azure Active Directory, which is what they're going to get now.
Are you facing any particular type of problem to implement the
Yeah, let's see. Microsoft doesn't make it too easy to set up new tenants, and they have a lot of infrastructure associated around supporting IT companies like myself. So there's a Microsoft on the top, and then the IT companies underneath that, and then the end users underneath that. They don't make that whole infrastructure very easy. It's very flexible though, so that's why they do it. And it's also very possible to secure it very well.
So talking about the AI automation, so are there any tools or AI trends that you're excited about or anything you would love to integrate in your own business, like AI for sales, marketing, or customer support?
Yeah, just simple stuff like taking new customers in, let's say through the website, and then using AI to push them into our quoting tools and our in-house copy of Sage 300. That's something that I expect to roll out in the next 12 months. So that's exciting. And then I'm also very happy to have tools like Copilot and ChatGPT to construct pictures on request and because I'm not a very good artist, so I can get pictures out of my imagination onto, a JPEG or something like that pretty easily with AI. Well, I'm very excited. I mean, I'm really happy to be able to ask AI questions of a pretty deep nature, really about any topic. I'm interested in theology and religion and things like that. I've asked AI some good questions about that and got good answers. You have to independently verify and confirm them. Sometimes there's mistakes or just wrong-headed thinking, but for the most part, the AI is coming up with good references, which would take me hours and hours to find those references myself.
So basically, you want to create an AI funnel which will help your customer guide your website, and you will collect their leads, right? Lead information. Right?
Yeah, I'm getting requirements from the website right now. It's really mostly names and addresses, but I imagine that more complicated requirements will be forthcoming.
You have loads of experience. So what's one advice would you share with founders looking to scale their
Yeah, I've got a big one. It's not obvious. A lot of people in the tech field, are very smart. So they think that they can sort of go off into a corner and learn everything themselves. And you can certainly learn a lot on your own. But I would say fight the tendency to be a lone wolf and do as much networking as early and as hard as possible, all along the process, because that's the only way you're going to have really significant growth. There's nobody who can do everything, but you can find somebody who can, be one of the top 2 or 3 people in the field. You can find those people pretty easily and have a relationship with them and get useful work out of them.
So thank you so much, Peter, for sharing your insights with the audience. For any listener who might like to connect with you, what's the best way to reach out?
Yeah, the best way would be to phone and leave a message, 630-208-8000, or else look at our website, www.pcmethods.com, PCMETH, and then there's lots of ways to contact us through that.
Thank you so much.